History Chapter 8 Guptas and Vardhanas. In this chapter, you will learn the important Gupta rulers and their political achievements, their contributions to literature and science, the famous rulers' expansion and growth of Gupta Empire, the growth of Varadas and their contributions to literature and education. To know the extent of Gupta Empire in the map of India. Important points where, when, society, art and literature, trade, important kings, administration, religion, specializations. Guptas. Maurya and Kushanas, the empires of Guptas arose. Guptas were the feudatory rulers of Kushanas and established the base for a vast empire after the decline of Kushanas. The Gupta Empire came into power by 275 CE. Sri Gupta is the founder of this dynasty. They started their rule from Prayaga. Later, Guptas made Patliputra as their capital. Guptas encouraged religion, art, literature, and science during their period. Guptas. The Gupta dynasty came into power by 275. They started this rule from Pragaya. Later, Guptas made Patliputra as their capital. Patliputra remained the capital of vast Gupta empire. Both the empires ended by the mine 3rd century CE. Guptas were the feudatory rulers of Kushanas. They established the base for a vast empire after the decline of Kushanas. Their rule kept North India united from 335 CE to 455 CE. After the collapse of Mayura Empire, the northern India was ruled by Kushanas and the southern India was ruled by Shatavahanas. The political history. Chandragupta I is identified as the first historical person of Guptas. He married Lichavi Princess Kumaradevi. He strengthened the status and powers of Guptas with the ascendance of Chandragupta to throne in the 319 to 320 CE. The Gupta era started. Samudragupta. After Chandragupta, we see his son Samudragupta. His achievements have been commemorated in the Allahabad pillar inscribed by Harisena. This is in Sanskrit language and has been inscribed on Ashoka's pillar. Most part of India was under the rule of Guptas during the time of Samudragupta. His Hashvamedagya brings to mind the Vedic rituals. Samudragupta was not just a conqueror but a great poet and a lover of music too. His passion for music can be seen in gold coins with depth hymn playing on the veena. Ashwamedha Yaga's pictures. The iron pillar of Mehruluri is Delhi near Qutub Minar is important. It is 23 feet and 8 inches in height and weighs 6,000 kgs. It is one of the finest example of the technical skill of the time. It has not become rusty till now. That shows in those days India has a sound iron technology. Chandragupta II, 380 CE to 412 CE. Chandragupta II expanded the kingdom of Samudragupta and brought stability. He defeated the Sakas and made Western India a part of Gupta Empire. He developed relationship with many Indian royal families through marriage and became very influent. He earned the title of Vikramaditya. He regained his memorable more for the encouragement given to literature and art rather than for its battles. The famous Sanskrit poet and Dharmist Kalidasa belonged to this age. Medaduta, Raghuvamsa, Kumara Sambhava, and Ritu Samhara are his poems. Abhi, Abhignana Shakuntala is one of his noteworthy dharmas. Sudrakas, Mirchakatila, and Vishwakadatas Muradarakshas are other literary works of this Chandragupta too. The fall of empire. Gupta Empire was subjected to continued attacks of the Huns and thus soon declined. The Gupta did not have a fully equipped large army. The king vassals would fulfill the requirements during times of war. Hence, the vassals had become very powerful. The buoyancy consisted of Kumara Amtyas. They had various positions. The administration was decentralized. The priests received many grants. They would be granted many villages. Many temples saw development due to this. Meghaduta. This is a poetic creation of Kalidasa and is one among his very famous works. Ekshas is exiled by King Kubera for having neglected his duties. In this situation, the Ekshas stopped a passing cloud and pursued it to carry a message of love to his wife who lives near the Kailash mountain. He describes the beauty scenery on the route of his wife's place. Today, this poem is famous all over the world. It has been translated into all the Indian languages and major languages of the world. Abhinya Shakuntala's pictures. These areas not only enjoyed financial and administrative concessions but also became independent in all matters. However, over a period of time, the inhabitants, farmers, artisans became to be controlled by the landlords. In this way, society grew more and more complex. During this period, the trade that the Guptas had with the Westerners collapsed. Consequently, the economic system suffered. The restriction imposed on their empire obstructed the internal trade too. Trade was limited to villages. The collapse of trade led to the decline of the society centers. Patliputra got reduced to the size of village. Scientists of Gupta period, Charaka and Shukruta did a medical chapter during this period. Charaka wrote Charaka Samhita. Shukruta wrote Shukruta Samhita with dealt with surgery. Scientist of the Gupta period, Dhanvantri. He was a famous scholar in the field of medicine. He was a specialist in Ayurveda. He is the father of Indian medicine. His chief contribution to the medical field has been the Ayurvedic dictionary. Charaka. He was a medical scientist. His major contribution to the field of medicine has been the Charaka Samhita. Shukruta. He was a surgeon. He was the first Indian to explain the process of surgery. He has recovered that in those days there used to be a separate wing to treat soldiers. Like modern times, surgery Sukruta was a well known surgeon of Easter years and contributed significantly to the field of surgery. Aryabhatta. He was a famous astronomer and mathematician. He is the prominent scientist who came after Varahimirha. His contribution to astronomy and mathematics has become highly significant. This is the reason that the Aryabhatta Award is being presented by the Indian government to great scientists. He first Indian satellite have been named by Aryabhatta. He is believed to have invented the zero. He was the first Indian to master algebra. He retained the fact that solar and lunar eclipse happen not due to Rahu but due to rotation of earth on its own axis and revolution of the earth in its orbit around the sun. Scientist of the Gupta period, Varaham Mirha. He was a famous astronomer. He wrote a book on astronomy named Panchadishtaka, which is considered the Bible of astronomy. In addition to this, he wrote Bharata Samhita, Bruhat Ja- Jataka, and Laghu Jataka. He was a scholar in many fields like astronomy, astrology, geography, meteorology, etc. Contributions of Gupta. Gupta followed an efficient method of Declaration administration. It witnessed the pinnacle of Indian rock cut architecture. Decimal numeral system was invented. Length of day and year was calculated to impress accuracy. Predecessor to chess was invented. Aryabhatta defined the principle of the place value of the first nine numbers and the use of zero. Aryabhatta also wrote Surya Siddhant. Kalidas, described as the Shakespeare of India, belonged to the Gupta period. The Varadas. The Gupta Empire, which had flourished for 2 centuries, disintegrated around 6th century CE. Many small kingdoms sprang up at its time. The kingdom of the Varadas was one of them. The rule from Tanishwar in 6th century. Some copper inscriptions, banas, Harshta Charitras, and the Sinist travel Hyun Sang returns thrown light upon this period. Pushyabhuti is the founder of this dynasty. Prabhakara Vardhana and Harshavardhana are the prominent kings of the dynasty. After the death of this father, Prabhakara Vardhana and his brother Rajavardhana Harsha became the king of Tanishwar. His sister Rajashri was married to the king of Kanuja. Pictures of University of Nalanda. University of Nalanda. Buddha's followers believe that Nalanda was the name of Buddha in his previous birth. This is famous as an ancient university. Buddha and visited Nalanda. Mention has been made on of the 25th meter tall bronze image of Buddha that Harshavardhana gifted to Nalanda. Kumaragupta had made contributions to a fine arts school here. Nagarjuna, the chief exponent of middle path, Dinanga and Dharmapala were the other famous scholars who taught here. The Chinese traveler Hin Sang visited the place and stayed for some time. He has given a detailed description of the place. They were stupas, Chaitanya's, Virahas, rest house, steps here and there to sit the rest a while, meditation rooms, lecturer rooms, and many other structures reveal the glory of the place. The Gupta kings Harshavardhana have been the famous patrons of this place. An accident fire destroyed many texts at Nalanda. The Kannada king of Chalukyas, Pulakeshi II, halted his progress and forced him to go back. This achievement of Pulakeshi II have been immortalized in the panegyric Parahasti, written by the court poet Ravi Kirti. When the king of Bengal, Shahankas, killed the king of Kanuja, Harsha captured Kanuja and attacked the king of Bengal. Bengal and Magadha came under his rule, but he could not advance beyond the Narmada river in the south. He has expressed that the exclusion of the king Harsha's joy had dried up on account of his defeat. The king rule was assigned by the Council of Ministers. The, the bureaucracy consisted of the Mahasandhi Vigraha, Mahabaladhi Kruta, military general, Bhogapati, tax official, and Duta. The kingdom had been divided into provinces. Land tax was the major source of income for the kingdom. Feudatory chiefs paid tribute to the king. The king gave them land grants and in return got the help of the armies. When the king became weak, the feudatory chiefs became independent.